Greetings, salutations, and all good things in between. What's up, everyone? Matt here. Happy Friday. Hope everything's going well for you. Hope you got a lot of stuff done, staying warm. It's kind of getting a little cold for the Northern Hemisphere at least. So what do we got going on this week, right? All right, so I put out a new sample app. If you saw that on Tuesday, I'm going to go over what that is and what future plans I got for that. There have been some steady progress on the new UX, the desktop UX experience. A lot of updates for that, so I'll kind of go over those. Some good comments and questions, and for the deep dive, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to kind of tighten up some of the stuff that I left out in the shopping cart part 8, which I'm going to release next Tuesday. All right, that's all I got. If you have any questions for what you're working on, get them in the comments down below, and I will answer them. Thanks for being here. Let's get to it. All right, so what have I been doing? Right, so the most recent thing that I put out is a new sample app that shows you how you can capture the last whatever. Meaning, if you've got a parent-child setup, right? You've got a related something or other on the parent, and very often there is a situation where I need to know what is the last of those child records. Like, what is the last over there? And then I need a piece of data out of it. Like, what is the date that's going on, right? What was the last date from the thing? Or what's the total from the thing? Or who was the last person, right? So this sample app shows you how you can take a related whatever list and extract out of that the last thing, and then from that extract out any sort of whatever derivative data that you're looking to get. So if we just go through and look under the hood, I'll kind of walk through real quick what it does. So the scenario is I have a list of users. The users have time logs. And what I want to know, the question that I'm trying to answer inside this app is, what is the last date that the user worked, right? So now if we just look at this list of records, I have sorted them descending. So the most recent one is at the top, but we need to extract that out. How do we do that? If you go to the columns and you look at the user table, you'll see down at the bottom we have a couple of new virtual columns down here. We have one that's extracting out the last the last time log, and then from that we're able to do this secondary thing, which is what is the last time log date. And if I go and I show you this, so indexing out the last whatever is as simple as taking your related whatevers, your list, and wrapping it in an order by so that they're put in the right order. And I put mine as descending, so the most recent one is at the top, and then wrapping that in an index and extracting out the first thing because I put the most recent thing with the order by at the top of the list. So this extracts out the last item that's inside this related time logs list. And then from this, we're then able to extract the actual piece of data that we need. The key that a lot of people skip over in making this sort of system work is this middle ground of needing to have the individual last item as a separate field by itself. And you'll notice I have this as an enum. And then if I go in and I show you, this is an enum base type reference. So it's with this, because I have this field set here, I can then say, cool, from this, dereference whatever I want out of that. I want to know the date. I want to know the total hours. I want to know the fill in the blank, right? So this app shows you how to do that. If you have any questions about how it's set up, if you want to see derivatives, some further downstream things of what to do next, let me know. The future plans for this app is I'm going to make a part 2 that shows you how to extract not just one piece of data, but like say I need to know what is the last 5 things from that list. And then I want to know, say, what is the total hours for all of those 5 last records. In the next version of this, I will be going over how to do that. Keep an eye out for it. All right, that's all I've got for this section. Let's move on. There's been a lot of really good comments. All right, the first question we have here comes from Hamlet Vasquez, and he says, the general question is how to know where to put additional actions when using action looping. The specific he's got here is, I can get it on here, there we go. Hi Matt, an idea for discussing in your next stream, sequence of actions when using loops and grouped actions. Sometimes I find it hard to figure out the sequence of actions that are being triggered. Just now I had trouble figuring out how to update the parent record after a child creation loop. Wasn't sure where to place the update parent action and just had to do it via trial and error. Thanks. Yes, this sort of topic right here, like figuring out the order of operations and where things go and this, that, and whatever, it's hyper specific that you get it correct. You know what I mean? It's just like if you've got a really complicated math formula, you have to follow the order of operations, because if you don't, it's never going to come out the right way. Same thing kind of here. You have to put your things in the right spot, and it really kind of comes down to thinking about like the sequence that you want to have happen. And what I usually do for this is I'll usually get like a whiteboard or a piece of paper, like scratch paper or something out, and I'll write out my steps. I'll be like, all right, first I want to do the loop, and then after the loop's done, then I want to update the parent, and then after the parent's done, I need to check and see if this, and if that's not whatever, then I need to do this, and then if that's all done, then I need to do that. Like, and I'll write all of this out, because then I have like a framework. I have a like a blueprint that I'm working from, a playbook type of thing. And so then I can refer to that list and be like, all right, step one, do the loop. All right. And I can do all the stuff that's the loop stuff, right? To demonstrate this, I have a sample app that is looping with actions. And what I'm going to do with this sample app is I'm going to throw in a parent update after the loop runs. So just to give everybody a refresher of what this app is doing, if we go look at the data structure, you'll see we have orders, order details, and order detail fulfillments. Okay, so let's say I have an order, and on here I have a status column that's looking to see is the are the where, let me find it. Here we go. Are the related order detail fulfillments. So let's say on the order details, I have a status column that's keeping track whether or not this particular order detail has been fulfilled or not. And then subsequently, I have like another status for the order that's looking at all of the order details that's saying, are all of those done? If all of those are done, then the order is done. Okay, how would I set something up like that? All right. So I'm not going to save it inside this looping app, but I will demonstrate how to do it inside this because it kind of has the bits and pieces that we would need. So what do I need to get that sort of thing to work, right? Okay, well, on the order details, I have this related order detail fulfillment. These are the child records that are telling the system, hey, I've fulfilled this thing, right? Okay, so let's say what I wanted to do is after I created this order fulfillment record, I wanted to change the status of the order details. Okay, now if I show you this loop, if we go to the save the order, you can see we have the execute of the loop, we have the delete part, so we can get rid of this stuff. We need, backward functionality. So it's all inside this loop. So if we go look at the loop, let me find it. Here we go, execute loop. Nope, that's not the one I want. Here we go, the loop. Here we are, this one. All right, so inside the loop, right, you can see what's going on now. So the order of operations is first, we make whatever the first thing is that we need to make, right? And then we repeat that loop. Okay, the thing that happens when you do stuff like this, right, is these stacks like this, when you do an action like this loop repeater that says redo this action, because that's what this is. That's what this says. It says, hey, kick this whole loop, do it again. The stack stops there. So that ref new fulfillment thing that I have down there, that's the third action in this stack. That doesn't happen until those first two are done. Because the first one is the thing that does whatever the loop needs to do it. The second one is the repeat. So then that just says, all right, we'll just start it over again. And so then it keeps doing that. And it never gets past that number 2 until all of the items are made. And then this one, on that last iteration, it's like, well, nope, we don't need to do this. And then this last one, this number 3, this guy down here finally kicks off. So think about the orders that's happening there, right? The order of operations. I've saved the order form. The loop has gone through and gone through and gone through and gone through and created every item that needed to be created inside the loop. And then after all of those have been created, then this ref fulfillments thing goes on. Okay, so now like this order fulfillments thing, let's just change the concept that we were doing, right? And let's just say that is updating the order, right? Kind of the same sort of, it's the exact same order of operations here. You do your loop, you do your loop, you do your loop, you do your loop, and then after the loop, you kick the update. Now you could put this update inside the loop, which would make it conditional to only executing whenever you execute the loop. Follow me? Or you could move this update out of the loop and you could just put it in the main stack that's part of the save event for the form. If you do that though, keep in mind that update is going to happen every time. The loop is conditional, only runs whenever it needs to do something, right? And so if I move that ref update out of that, then it no longer has the condition that the loop is using to run, and it's its own thing. I could come up with a condition for it, right? But I'd just be better served leaving it inside the loop as like the last action, and it kind of makes sense to put it there if you think about it. Like the loop is making things, so after it's done making the things, I want that to update. But if we haven't made anything, I don't need it to update anything. Follow what I mean? There's obviously a lot of nuance involved with all of this. And it's all hyper specific on how you're building your app, like the specific situation that you've got going. But that's the general gist. It's all about paying attention to the specifics of where the update needs to happen and when, right? All right, moving on to the next one. The next one comes from Kimit Patel, my apologies. The gist is how to make an item disappear from an enum or an enum list after choosing it. So the email that I got from him was like, just like in the UX, when we do the column order and we can choose the column that we don't want to see in the back of the list, meaning let's say I've got an app that has clients, projects, project phases, and time logs. Okay, so if I'm doing like a report builder, right? I'd have a field for the person to select, well, what client are you working on? I wouldn't show any of these other ones until the person selects the client. So on these fields, I have a show if statement that says, is not blank the client. So this one's looking at the client, this one's looking at the project, this one, they're all looking like one layer above. So the question is, how can I do something similar to that when it's not columns, but it's items inside of an enum or an enum list? All right. To answer this question, it's really, it's another one of those really difficult things to give you like a solid generic answer on how to do this, because, there's probably just out of thinking off the top of my head, there's probably 5 or 6 different primary ways that you could go about having this scenario where it's like, well, I selected a thing and now I need to like get rid of the thing that I selected. The gist behind all of this, right? The high level idea of what you're trying to do is you have one, I'm going to stick with a list. Like I have a list of things and then, okay, I want to like get rid of whatever I selected in the list. Okay. So the idea is I've got one field, I have one thing, one space, either it's a virtual column or it's an enum list, whatever. It's a list of values. And then I have another place where I can create the whatever I'm supposed to be doing for all of these. And so this is another list. And the idea is I take this list out away from this list. Now you have to make sure that you're taking apples from apples. So if this is a list of apples and this is a list of oranges, you obviously, that's never going to work. It has to be apples and apples. So the best place that I can give you a sample, like a way to see how this works, is inside the inspection app that I put out a few weeks ago. It's that nearly universal app. Inside here, the idea, right, is I have a current inspection and I've got this list of remaining items here, right? And so kind of following along the same concept of what you're asking there, Kimmit, is how can I make this list like decrement, right? After I do something, I want the thing that I just did to go away. This inspection app shows you some basics about how to set that up if you're working on this type of scenario. Do you get what I mean? But the kind of the theory behind how to do it is the same. So if I just show you on the inspection, right? So in here on the inspection, I have a list all the way at the bottom that is the remaining items. And if I go look at this, what is this doing? Okay, this is saying this inspection belongs to a catalog. Just to fill in, the catalog is like the template version of all of the inspections. It's literally where I'm saying, I want to do this type of inspection and these are the things I want to collect. That's what the catalog is. So this inspection is linked to the catalog that we're doing. And on that catalog, I have a list of main items. So that's everything that needs to be done for this thing. Okay. You can ignore this right here. This is some fancy stuff that's allowing it to do follow-up type stuff. Doesn't apply to your situation. The main thing to stick with here is I've got this list of main items, right? And then you can probably see down here, this is how all the magic works. I've got this subtract, and I'm literally saying remove from that list this list of the things that have been completed. If you look in here, so this is the related inspection items. So these are the child records to the inspection I'm doing. And inside those, I have a field that tells me the specific item that I'm doing. This is what I was talking about. You have to make sure that you take apples from apples when you're doing this sort of thing. If I was to just remove the related inspection items, it's a different type. The catalog items are apples. The inspection items are oranges. But inside the orange, I've specified that this orange came from that type of apple, right? And that's what this inspection catalog item is. And so this red formula here is a list dereference that extracts out of all of the child records the apple that this orange is. Okay, so now that list is a list of apples from the oranges. And the blue list is my original list of apples. So I have apples and apples. And now I can subtract these from each other. And then if there's anything left inside that list, that's the next thing that we need to do. You know what I mean? Those are the remaining things. So similar in concept, if I had an enum list where I had something selected and I wanted to remove from that the item that I just created, right? You would have the same kind of setup. The columns would be different. The formula syntax would be different. But like the blue thing would be that enum list column that you have. The red thing would be basically the same thing here. It would be the extraction of the item that you did from your child records, right? And then you subtract that from your main list. That's what it's all about. And like I would have this formula. I wouldn't use this as the app formula for that enum list where I'm storing the options. What I would do is I would have this as a data set action, right? And then you could like kick this based on whatever you're doing. Like I'm here and then I go to a child record and I'm filling out the details for the first thing in that list. And then when I save this child record, I want to run that update action on the parent. So on the child form save event, I kick this action and it does this formula on that parent list. And essentially what it does is it removes the thing that I just made. But you get where I'm going with this. Like, there's a lot of variability in how you could accomplish this. It's all entirely dependent upon how you've built your app, what your data structure looks like, the situation, like what are you actually trying to accomplish? Also, you need to take into consideration like the actual work of the person. Like, is this thing that you're trying to create going to get in the way of your actual worker? Like your workers, your workers doing the thing, and then they're like, oh, stupid app, I gotta get out of here, blah, blah, blah. Like, is it going to be like that? You don't want that, right? So all of these things to take into consideration when you're building this sort of functionality into your app. Let me know if you have any further questions. I know it can be a dense topic. One last question here comes to us from Sebastian Pinzon. It's about the Enhanced Dashboard Sample app. And what he asks is, will this work in case you want to show if certain views depending on the filters? So what he's asking there is like, say I've got a dashboard and it's an enhanced dashboard. So I have a control box and then like the results of whatever the controls are. So I select what client I want to use. And now we're looking at all those clients' time logs for instance. And then I can select the project and I can give it a date range and whatever. Okay. So now what if part of that is I want to be able to change the view type? Like, I have a few videos where I show how to do this in that dashboard. I have the 3 types of different dashboards out there. Maybe in the future I'll put the thing up there. But that shows in there, I show how I have an app where I can switch between charts and tables, right? So what do you do? Okay, everything's based on the show ifs, right? And so you could either just create a hard field that controls the chart or view, right? Or if you know the sort of combination of, well, if they select these fields, we need to show this. If you know that, you can create that sort of show if statement on that view. For instance, let's say I've got a chart and I only want to show the chart after they've selected the client and the project and the start date, right? So, okay, I know as the developer that I only want to show the view when these 3 criteria are met. Now, the 3 criteria are stored inside the user's record. So I've got the current user system installed. So all I've got to do is look at these values in the current user record and be like, is this not blank? Is this not blank? Is this not blank? Wrap it all in an and statement. So all of those have to be true. As soon as the person gets to that last filter, that view shows up inside that enhanced dashboard. Or you could just create a field where somebody can select what are the views you want to see. Do you know what I mean? Like, just enter into that field the text of the different types of views. I've got a table, I've got a chart, I've got a calendar, right? And so then like I have an enum list where it's got those 3 values, and I literally just give someone the ability to just pick and choose what they want, and I just have the individual views, like the chart is looking at that column and it's saying, is the word chart inside that list? Kind of straightforward, kind of not. But you know how it goes. That's AppSheet, right? All right, let's move on to the next one. Remember, if you have any questions about what you're working on, get it in the chat. I'll answer it at the end. All right, on to the news. All righty. Let's see here. So we've got in AppSheet news, what's been going on? Well, a lot of little things, if we say that. No big news, really. There's been a lot of steady work on the new UX for the desktop. Just about every day, there's some bug fix for that comes out, cleaning up how references work with enum lists, getting view things to work, getting actions to fire off in certain places where they weren't. Like, they're really starting to kind of make that thing really, really slick, and I can't wait for that to come out for the general release and become the main dominant way that our desktop things work in AppSheet. It's going to be great. Still got a ways to go, but they're making steady progress. The only other really big things of note is they've created a way where if you're using the new databases feature, they've made it faster for you to create databases on the fly. When you're building your app, you can now do it pretty quick, pretty fast. There's a whole bunch of other things they've added in that, but the whole core concept around this idea is, or this update is making it easier for you to use the databases when you're actually building your app and you're like doing the things that you're doing there. That's been going on. The last thing is they've been updating some of the security things for the editor. And there have been some instances where your login credentials, like when you're working on the app, your login credentials expire. And so previously that would kick you out of the editor and make you go through the whole login process, and it would do a whole reload of the editor and everything. Instead of going through that giant process, now they have a nice little thing, little pop-up that kind of comes down at the bottom of the screen. You know, whenever you like undo something, there's that little black thing that shows up at the bottom. That now shows up down there saying, hey, your session has expired. Click here to reauthorize. Little things, but you know, little things make things a lot smoother. Other than that, that's all the big news that's going on for that. Let's move on to the deep dive. All right, so what are we doing for this week's deep dive? Well, last week before, can't remember now. Everything's starting to blur together at the end of the year for me. I put out a new update. I haven't released it yet, but in the live stream, I took the shopping cart and I updated it so that you could have multiple users using the system all at the same time. The update involved installing the current user system and Philly bits, right? So since that's come out, there have been, since the video came out, there have been some people that have followed along, and they pointed out some problems that they're having that I completely missed over, which, you know, happens. That's why I don't release things right away. So for this deep dive section, I'm going to take the shopping cart app that I have, and I'm going to go through and I'm going to round off some of the hard bits that are left over. I got a little list that I made here. Special thanks to Sarah Keown. She pointed out the bulk of all of these problems. My Zoom is just all over the place. There we go. So she commented, is there a way to prevent the format rule applying when a separate customer adds a product? I have tried using the same logic for the current user building order is not blank and then apply the format, having a similar issue with filters applying to two different users not being unique. Okay, so I as soon as I read that, I was like, oh yeah, there's probably some other thing I need to go fix. So if we go and we look at the shopping cart app, we come to the building order. So the building order is all based on this. Where's it at? Here we go. This building order. Now, if you look at this, notice there's nothing inside this that's limiting these to the current user. Now I have this one down here. I have the current user building one where it's basically the same. The status is building, but we're also matching the order to the current user. So it's pretty close to the same thing, but I left this building order original one there. Now I bet if you go and you look, this order details list right here, which is the building order details, right? I bet, yeah, see, this is the problem right here. You see how the formula is still referring to that original slice? That original slice is not filtered for the current user. That's everybody. So that's the problem. All we need to do to fix this part of it is not use that slice, but come here and copy this one and add that in here to our formula, changing from the building order to the current user building order. Okay. That, if we save this, I think that's going to solve the vast majority of all of these problems, to be honest with you. because I'm pretty sure that's what's going on. I guess the other thing maybe would be, let's check this customer product. So the customer product is the building orders. Yeah, see, anytime, this is the thing. So like, what did I do? So the update that I made was I essentially changed the slice that needed to be used for whatever it is that we were doing. But I didn't go through the entire app and find every instance of the use building orders and change that. That's what I need to do. Okay, now you may be asking yourself, all right, well, what do I do if I've got an app that I've been developing for a year or two? I've got 40 tables, 5,000 actions. You know what I mean? Like, what do I do in that instance? How am I supposed to remember where all of this is? Am I supposed to like document all of this and spend 5 minutes typing in some other thing all of the stuff that I did for every column? Like, that doesn't work for me. Thankfully, AppSheet's given us a solution for this. If you go to, let me see if I remember where it is. If you go to, so in the old, I'll turn on the new and improved editor since this will be the future standard. So in the future editor, right, come to the settings, and in settings on the information page, if you come inside here, not in app properties, not information, but in the app documentation, all the way down here at the very, very, very bottom, there's this, the documentation page for this app is available here. Click that. That is going to open up a new page, and depending on how big your app is, this new page can take a very long time to load. But what it's doing is AppSheet is going through your app and it's procedurally generating documentation for your app. Documentation in the form of a list of all of the tables, all of the UX, all of the behavior. And then as you can see inside each of these, there is all of these little sections. And so like inside the data, I have a list of all of the tables, all of the columns, all of the slices. Inside UX, I have a list of all of the views and the formatting rules. And in behavior, I have a list of all of the actions. And so this gives me a place where I can come and I can say, well, I need to search through everything inside my app. Everything in your app is here on this page in one giant document. This is where you can come and you can look at everything. So if we look, like if you expand tables, you can see table name products, and then like literally all the stuff for table products, user settings, orders. Like, and if we go to columns and you look at this, the columns are split up for the individual tables, right? And then inside the individual tables is every column that's involved. So column number 1 is the row number. Column 2 is the order ID, the order user link. And then you can see we've got like all of this stuff, which is all of the settings for your column. Okay, so now what I'm getting at is everything that you need to search for is on this page. Okay, so we just go Control F. I'm going to go back to my app. I'm going to copy the name of the slice that I'm looking to, I'm going to go back to legacy just for this. Go back to my current, so I need to find this. This is the thing that I'm trying to find, is I have this slice, building orders, and I've updated my app to not use this. Well, that's the idea that I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to go and I'm going to find this. Yep, and you can see like, look, here's a ref rows for the building order. So this is pulling from building orders. That's fine because it's a ref rows. But look, if you go up here and look at if you see my search, that's the only one. Okay, so I got lucky. I only have one thing that I need to change, and I don't need to change it. But like, that's how you go through and you find where is every instance of the thing that I need to change. Go find the documentation page, open it up, do a find. Now, this isn't going to help you changing it, but what it does do is it helps point you in the direction of where you need to go. You can do a Control F and you can say, find for me all of the instances of building order. And then you can just start working your way down the list and just being like, all right, so this is user building order. All right, and we come back here, we go to columns, we go to users, and we go find user building order. And you'd be like, all right, I'd want to change this. And I would change that. And then I would repeat that process for every instance of the thing that I just changed. This works for, I've changed a column, I've changed a table, changed a slice, I've changed a view, because the documentation page gives you all of your formulas that you're using. So if I've got, say, an action that has a deep link where it's saying, take me to this record in this view, but I've changed that view. Okay, the system doesn't change the formula for me when I change the name of the view. I have to go through and do that everywhere. This is how you can make that easier for you to do. Do the search for the thing. That'll show you every place that exists, and you just got to go follow the breadcrumbs, if you will. Okay, so this is the only last thing that I needed to update, but I'm going to leave that one alone because it's fine. Yeah, the thing that I had to do was this building order details needed to be tied to the current user's building details, because then, like, if I'm, all right, so like I'm logged in over here at using my MultiTech Visions thing. So like if I say I want, 2 of those. Okay, so product 19, let's do it at the top. All right. So I have product number 1 and product 19 added to this order. So now let's log in as somebody else as like test@email.com. Okay, so if everything works as it should, right? Yep, okay, look at that. So the building order is showing down here, but this building order shouldn't be. Notice the details is empty. There's nothing inside here, but it's still showing me what's going on. And this customer products has a list of products inside it, but it shouldn't. Okay, so we need to tighten this up. So what do I need to do? So I want to go look at this customer products. I'm going to look at this. Yeah, okay, here we go. So the customer is the building orders customer link, and the product is the building orders product categories. Okay, I forgot to change that the first time. Come back here and change my slices. Okay, so now when this comes back, this list of customer, yep, see, there it was. The list of customer products is now empty, because now this is looking at the current user building order. All right, so part 1 fixed. Now this view down here needs to be updated because it's looking at the wrong thing. Again, it needs to go to current user building orders. Hey, the sun came out. So I have this one for the computer. Let's see. I've got device building order, so I need to come in and do this one too. Curious that documentation didn't show any of these formulas. Maybe it's because I have them shrunk. You know what I mean? Like I need to have all of these expanded in order for it to find the things. Which means don't collapse anything, because then it's a nightmare to find what you have collapsed and what you haven't collapsed. Ooh. Oh man, look at this. Ugh. Okay. Yeah, maybe I have to have all of these open in order for this to find all of the instances. Because like I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, I did a search, but like I just had to go through and do all of these things. Why aren't you finding that? So let's try this. Yeah, exactly. Okay, do you see that? So helpful tip, don't collapse anything. The search can't look inside the collapsed things. That's nice to know. All right, let's go all the way back up to the top and go through all of these. All right, so user building order, that one's fine, don't need to do it. A row filter condition for customer products building order. Okay, I just did that one. Building orders, that's the name of the slice, it's fine. Okay, what is this? This view name customer products. Yep. So then I go to my views and I'm looking for, I think I just did that one, right? Nope. Customer products. If I come down here we go. This one needs to be changed. Okay. Next. Device. I just did that one. New order. Okay. And this is how it goes. Go to the new order. This needs to be, oh, okay, wait a minute. And where's the and statement? Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Duh. There we go. There we are. And next. So view name, new order, computer building dashboard. Did that one. View name, building orders detail. That's fine. Building orders form. That's fine. Okay, action name, add new line item. Okay, so now we got to go to actions. And this is new line item. So I'm just going to type in new. Here we go. Add new. And it's, yep, this guy right here. So the order link needs to be linked to the current user. Let's check and make sure that all of the rest of this is good. Yep, see, this needs that. This needs that. Okay. That was the wrong slice. That was the wrong slice name. That needs to be the building order details. Okay. So that can actually stay. I should be able to just undo what I did. Yep. Okay. Just that one. This was the orders. This is the details. Getting a little overzealous here. Okay. Continuing on. So that's the action. Okay. Add duplicate needs the same thing. Yep. So this one, link this to that. And the condition's probably the same. Yep. Checking building orders. All right. Action name, view customer product. Okay, so come up here and let's look for view customer product. And yep, here we go. Yep. Now you see, like, the thing I could have done is I could have just changed that slice to where the building orders was just hard coded and like just change that to include the user thing. I left that list of building orders because it can be helpful to have a master list of building orders. Like I could put that inside I could make a view for that, put it inside the main menu, and then make that visible to admins. Do you know what I mean? So then an admin can go to the main menu and see all of the orders that are being built. That's why I left that there. It's kind of future proofing, but I can see, you know, this could have been easily solved by just completely changing that one action or that one slice. C'est la vie. Ref set item quantity. Okay. Do ref set. Right. Here we go. Down here. Thankfully, you see the update that I need to do is fairly straightforward. Oh, no, that's building order details. That one's fine. Like all I need to do is go and replace the name, this old slice name. Ref delete. Okay. Ref delete. Building orders. Okay, so that needs to be changed. And then down here, building orders. Okay. We should be nearing the end. That is the end. There we go. Done. All right. Now we've got all of the old things that were referring to the old building thing. They're now tied to the current user's building thing. And so now everything throughout the system should work. Like if you if you look down here, like it doesn't even recognize, if you look down here, it doesn't even recognize that my test@email.com doesn't have a user, and so it's presenting to me the option to create a new user. Because now everything's tied to the actual things that it's supposed to be doing. If you didn't go through and do the things that I just did, all of those actions are tying things to the wrong thing. It's basically pulling whatever the first building order is inside the list, and it's using that. So whatever's there, that's like everything's getting linked to that. Anytime somebody's been tapping on a thing to create a record, it's been linking it to probably somebody else's order. So vitally important to go through and do this sort of update. Thank you, Sarah, for pointing this out. Like, it's vitally important. Okay. So if we come down here and look at my list of stuff that I want to do. So, all right, I have my slices are formatted. Slices are doing what they're doing. All right, so now I want to go through and I want to check the formatting rules. Pretty sure all of those are tied to the slices. And since I got the slices right, they should all be right. But we'll look anyways. Nope, I was wrong. Okay, no, this is the building orders. This is the order details. But if I go to the orders, all right, nope, I don't have anything specific for the orders. Fair enough. And this one I don't have to change because I just changed the building order details to just hard code to the current user one. Why not? Call it good. All right. That's that. So those formatting rules are okay. Checking action permissions. Yeah, like I basically just did all of these by doing this documentation search for the thing that I changed. So that's really kind of the moral of the story for this segment is whenever you change the name of something and you're struggling to figure out how can I go through and get every instance of that updated, go to the documentation page for your app, do a search. And then it's just a goose egg hunt, trying to find everything in your app. That's that. So that is all of these updates that make this building order work. Just some last little things. Yep, starting on the info page. So if you run through all of these updates that I just did for an app that you're working on, if you've been following this series and you find other things that are out of place, or there's some things that you think would be very helpful to add into this sort of current multi-user functionality module, let me know in the comments below and I will get it in there. I do have, if I just get my list of updates for the shopping cart. So the updates that I do have planned for this are, so in the multi-user stuff right now, I have it to where you can have multi-users at once. I have a future plan for this. So part 2, what I want to do is I want to add a public data collection side to this. And I felt it kind of fit really well with this sort of version 8 where we're dealing with users and security and this, that, and whatever. So a future version, like probably next week or the week after, very soon, I shall be taking the shopping cart and updating it so that it will have a public data collection aspect of it. Meaning the app that exists, this app that exists like this is built in such a way that it requires user login. It has, security inside it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically create a second version of this app that will tie to the same databases, right? But it won't have any security on it. It'll be a completely open app. The idea being I can put a Publisher Pro license behind it. So that's that $50 a month, any number of users, no security on it. The idea being they could just type in the email and, that submits the order into the system and kind of gets everything going, if you will. And then if they wanted to manage it, then the idea behind that would be like you'd somehow pass the cost of the user license to them. So then they have access to the private app and then they can do whatever they want over there. That's the immediate future plans that I have for the shopping cart app. If you want to see other things, if you have another idea, let me know. I'll get it done. All right, let's move on to the last section. Your questions in the chat. All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for watching. Nature Shoots is the first one. You are the most professional in AppSheet. Thank you very much. Really, really does mean a lot when people say things like this. A little big thing, okay? Please slow your pace when you are going to teach AppSheet. The rest is good, thanks. All right, fair enough. I have a habit, and I noticed that too. Like I dropped in and looked at the comments, and like as soon as I saw that, I was like, I'm going pretty fast today. I've been drinking. I got some caffeine going on here, and like it gets me going, Yeah, I will. Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. I'll put like a little thing up here that says slow down. All right. Any questions? No questions. Nobody's got anything that you're working on. No super hard things that you're doing or whatever. Like that's cool. All right. The Jared Maziz says, Okay, Hamlet's got a question. He's typing. There we go. Jared Massees says, the documentation thing is super helpful. Yeah, that was when they released that documentation page where you can get to the documentation for something. Like, that really did solve a whole lot of problems that we were having. It honestly, like, it would be way better if there was just like a find and replace. You know what I mean? Like, here's a thing, here's a string, replace it with this, and like do that throughout AppSheet, throughout my entire app. All the formulas, column names, table names, slice names, whatever. Find the string and replace it. But you can see how that would be really messy. And like, that's just ripe for failure. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to cause a lot of problems right there. So I can't see why they've never done it though. Room 001, at least I assume that's what RM is for. Whatever. Hello, RM 001. How to make sure the link to form links to the parent. That's actually it's a deceptively easy thing to do. I have my sample app here for the user logins. So let's say that what I wanted to do is I wanted to have a system to where when somebody submitted the form for an order detail, it would take them to the detail view of the parent. So directly back to the parent, right? No, overriding wherever they originally were would go right back to the parent. Okay, so what would I do to do this? All right. The setup, in order to make this work, right, starts with the columns that you have. And you already have everything set up. So in my order details, this is the child level of everything. I have a reference column linking this order detail to the parent. Okay, that column holds the ID of the thing that you want to go look at. So all you got to do is say link to row, that column, and then the name of the view that you want to see. Let me show you. So if I go to behavior, if I go make a new action that lives on the order details. So this is the child table that I'm working on, right? The action that I want to do is I want to go to another view within this app. And the thing that I want to do is, okay, first it would be helpful to go get the view that I want to go to. Okay, so I'm really trying to take people back to the order details. So yeah, you know what I mean? Now for my app, based on how I built it, you know, I've got a device order detail and a computer order detail. I'm just going to go for like the original orders detail. All right, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to copy the name of this view. I'm going to go back to my action that I started. And inside here, right, so it's link to row. And the row that I want to go to is this order link right here. That's all you do. And then insert in quotes the name of the view that you want to see this record in. And that's it. That's how you do it. This is going to take you to the detail view for the parent of whatever child record we're looking at. The key that makes all of this work is the fact that the value inside that order link column is the ID of the parent record. So when I say go to this value, the value is the ID of a record. And so when the system looks inside the order table, it finds that value. That's what makes it work. If this value, if instead of having the ID of the order inside the child, if I had say the name of the order, this might be better served talking about it from like a client. Like I have an order that's linked to a client, and let's say that when I complete it, I want to go to the client details, right? Okay, like if in the order I didn't have the ID of the client, but I instead had the name of the client. Now, if these two things are different, this is what matters. Like maybe the ID for my client is like R96742X. You know, it's gibberish because I used unique ID. But the name is MultiTech Visions. Okay, so if I have the text MultiTech Visions as the actual value inside my inside my cell, inside here, that's not the record. like if I try and go to that, the system's just going to take me to the order detail view, showing me nothing. It'll be an empty view. It'll say no items or whatever it is for, there's nothing here. Because the system is taking the value that I gave it inside that square brackets, and it's trying to find that as an ID for a record. So it has to be the ID. That's the key to making all of that sort of link to row type of stuff smooth. Hamlet says, about the sequence of actions. Do the actions being executed show up in the AppSheet app log? It is easy to figure out what's going on by checking that out. Okay, no. Okay, well, kind of. So, let me think about it. Will it show in the log? Well, depending on how you're executing it, yes. So, for instance, let me open my looping app. And, okay, that's the enhanced dashboard. It's the inspections, looping. Here we go. Okay, so opening the looping app. And if we look inside here for the order of operations, make sure I'm on the same page here. Yeah, okay, so the question is, when I'm executing this loop, let me find the actual loop. Here it is. When I'm executing this loop, will the steps inside my loop show inside the app audit logs? And the answer is yes. Then the reason is because each one of these things is an individual action that's being run. Now, some of these don't do data changes, and so those won't show up. But every time that this new thing runs, that's creating a record. And so that's going to show up inside the audit log because you created a record, and then you created another one, and then you created another one, and then you create another one. And then, like, if you have it to where it creates the records and then after that it does the update, right? Well, the update is data change. And so when you go and you run that loop and you go look at the audit log, think about it like this. When I do the loop and it does the update at the end, right? Maybe it creates 5 records and does the update. Okay. When I look at the number of updates, that's the number of changes that I just made, right? That number on the sync button will show like 6 or 7 because the loop did 5 things. It did the update and we had the original save. 7. Do you get what I mean? So those will show up, but the like this loop, the repeater one, that won't show up. Any link to view things that you've got, like any of those aren't going to show up because they're not doing anything. Makes sense? Makes sense. Let's see. Last one, at least last one here, typed in from Jared Maziz. Is there a way to reuse a detail view with a new slice? I set up my view the same way and want it, but then realized I needed another slice of the same detail view, and yeah, it starts becoming a hot mess real fast. Yeah. There is no easy, clean way to solve this problem. There are a few things that you can do. So like, if I go back to my shopping cart and get rid of this, come back here. And so like, for instance, I have my slice of my building order, right? And my current user building order. And so like, what do I do if I want to create a system to where when somebody clicks on the building order, it doesn't take them to the building order detail view, right? Because that's what the system's going to want to do. For instance, like if I just create a new record for my building orders, right? Okay. And I do this. Now, this is a root view. Okay, yeah, I haven't put that. I was just making sure that I could save this because I actually need it to propagate in order for it to work. Okay, so like I now have a card view of my building orders, right? So when I click on my order, look at where it brought me. It brought me down here to building orders detail 2. Okay. That is a view that I made that is a copy of my building orders. I did this because I wanted it to look a certain way. If what I really wanted to happen was when somebody clicks on the building order, it takes them to the root view of whatever. This is a very common thing that you'll find that you'll need to do. Like I have a list of the completed items, but when you go to that, I don't want to go to the completed items detail view. There's nothing different between a completed item and an in progress item for the specific view. Okay, in that instance, what you have to do is you have to take over the tap event for the specific view that you're talking about. So I have this new view, we'll say it's a table, right? This has a view event down here. So what I need to do is I need to do something like this. I need to create an action that specifically says, take this person to a specific view, to a, like this record in a specific view. And the reason to do that is because now I can execute that action from a record that sits in any slice. I could have 20 different slices that are all shown in detail in a table view. And if I go, as long as I go to all of those table views and I change the default action to this action that I've made, that's saying, go there. Do you know what I mean? This works every time. And so you're literally just taking over the view event action. And so like if I save this, we can see what this looks like. So the idea now, when this comes back, is that when I click on one of these building orders inside this table view here, it's going to take me not to the detail view for that slice, but instead to the root view. What's going on here? Okay, there we go. Like, why isn't this loading? Okay, so when I click this, right, notice the view that I went to, the very one that I specified. That's how you do it. And then the idea is you just have to take over this view, take over the event action for any of the places where you want to reroute the person to a specific view. Yeah, one of the like it would be really nice types of updates that we asked for a long time ago that I'm going to see if I can't like backdoor channel try to get this to happen, is the ability to tell a view, like a detail view, to tie itself to something else. Like, this is a detail view for the current user's building order. I want this to simply follow the settings for the order detail. That's it. Like, I want that order detail to be the main thing. And then any of these ancillary ones, it'd be nice if there was like a way where I could say, nah, I don't want this to be custom. I just want it to be whatever the original one is. Because then, you know what I mean? Then there'd be a thing in the system that when they tried to click on it, the system would look for the view and be like, instead of not finding something and randomly generating something on the fly, it would look at that and find a view, but the view would then tell the system, make sure it looks like that. Try and backdoor channel that. There is a request for that in the community, so I'm like, if you want to go try and find it and add your vote to it, do it. And then drop the link in the comments for this so everybody else can go vote for it too. Happy days. All right, that's that. Let's move back over here. All right, everybody, that is all I got for this week. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for all the questions, the comments, all the engagement. I do appreciate it. If you're in the US, make sure you have a safe Thanksgiving. A lot of traveling people do. Travel safe, enjoy yourself. And then remember, when you're working on your app and you find yourself running into a roadblock, keep calm and AppSheet on. All right, everybody, I'll see you in the community. Happy days.